All right, fantastic. I appreciate it, Asher. So glad to be here. Excited to speak with this audience and share a project that fortunately AFWERX and various Air Force teams have found interest in, and really the more we showcase what we're doing here, the more and more interest we get. All right, jumping in. If you go to the next slide, just a real fast agenda here. We're going to give an overview of the situation. A vision of what we're working on, a teeny tiny bit about us, and then we're going to jump into a video that kind of highlights the project, what we're working on next, and open it up for discussion. So as we switch slides, just a reminder stated earlier, but in case anyone missed it, feel free to use the chat to drop your questions and we'll answer them. My colleague Chris, who's our Greetly COO, is here. Either he or I will answer it, either as they come up or over the course of the showcase. And look forward to interacting with you through that manner. So the situation is basically that we have security forces squadrons across the DoD and security squadrons across the entire federal government that are protecting tens of thousands of people whose job is to protect us every single day, and literally trillions of dollars of equipment that all of us here are paid for and are super important to our safety and security and our way of life. That being said, our base entry processes and the technology that runs them are extremely dated, manual, and error prone. I mean, it would be kind to say that some of these processes are stuck in the 70s. Some of them might be like World War II dated. At the end of the day, what this means is that we're inefficiently using time of very valuable airmen and our taxpayer dollars in a way that could be put to better use. Fortunately, we've come into contact with several bases, and in 2019, Greetly applied for a phase 1 and ultimately a phase 2 submission to modernize the entire base entry process. This is for visitors, CAC card holders, contractors, everyone that might come on base over a series of steps and waves. We kicked off this project in June of 2020. And have made incredible progress since then, being part of the Base of the Future showcase, and in just 5 months, we delivered an initial showcase here, an initial prototype here. So I like to share this vision not from Greetly's standpoint, but from Colonel Ivory Carter, who was formerly the 96th Mission Support Group commander. Today there is no data set as to what visitors and airmen are doing once they're on an installation. He'd like to take that in a series of steps and progress over time, from there being no data to having information driving base security, as opposed to everything be manual and taking guesses and running things through. He wants to have the information set that allows security forces to know what is most important need at any moment in time. He has a vision where the Eglin plan is to quadruple the size of the Visitor Control Center. He wants to knock it down. That's what he considers success for this project. Or to put directly, he believes that security forces should be focused on base defense and not base access, where a lot of the resources are today. And it could be a better experience for airmen and visitors while making everything safer. All right, Asher, if you want to push us along here. We don't like to spend too much time talking about ourselves, but we actually have a ton of experience. We've been a leader in cloud-based visitor management for 6 years. You can see from our logo profile here that not only do we work with some of your favorite or most hated brands, depending on how you think of, say, the Dallas Cowboys and Garmin and Vita Coco, but we also support federal, state, and local government agencies and have for quite a long time. So this is very much a dual-use technology. And we already integrate with some of the most enterprise and government-ready technology tools. My background is over 20 years in consumer packaged goods marketing, and have been, again, working on visitor management for 6 years. My colleague and CTO, Jorge Garcia, has over 15 years experience building extremely complex technology solutions at the city, state, mega city, state, and federal government level. And lastly, our COO, Chris Morin, who is here today. He is a Air Force Academy grad, 8 years in Special Forces operations for the Air Force, and more recently worked for a previous hypergrowth tech startup like Greetly. All right, the meat of it, the fun stuff. Here we have a video, and we're gonna check this out.
When we began working with Eglin Air Force Base, they told us what they wanted in an ideal base entry tool. remote capture of visitor biometrics and IDs to reduce errors, instant pass approvals to make better use of security forces manpower, and to give commanders the power of data for AI-driven security decisions. Then, we got to work. The new product is visitor-initiated.
Is it possible to get the audio up a little higher?
Your Visa. We studied the inefficiencies and security flaws with the current system. Then
Doesn't seem like it.
key criteria for success. Visa is the solution, and we are continuing to refine it. Here's what it looks like. The intuitive process guides visitors through information entry and document checklists. Even first-time users quickly step through identity document collection, biometrics, and consent. The pass request then goes to the sponsor for approval. Sponsors are alerted and respond to pass requests through the dynamic app. That means clearing visitors in real time. No more trips, calls, or one-way emails to the VCC. Security forces monitor the entire process through a dashboard. They can view a list of pending visitors, arrange requests by task or priority, approve background checks, and manage all aspects of visitor security. Everything is clearly presented for command staff and stored in a secure remote server, accessible by frontline gate guards and patrol cars. We're automating NCIC background checks, reducing workload and processing time. We are integrating with DBIDS and CAT card systems without decreasing throughput. And Visa is already authorized for use on Air Force networks. From restricted area management to exercise range control, we're building this to meet the exact needs of every base and every commander. Every improvement is important, the product of a truly collaborative process. Find out how Visa will work for your base. Contact us for more information.
Awesome. So, sorry, apologies that the audio was a little tough at the beginning here. Essentially, the moment anyone is invited on base through their departure, really can help make that process a better experience for the person who invites them, for the visitor, and at the same time, enable security forces squadrons to achieve their mission of keeping our airmen and our equipment safe. Last, I just want to give you a quick overview of where we are in the process of this. We are days away from actually deploying this at Eglin Air Force Base. This will be in the hands of Security Forces Squadron there, 96. We are submitting a Tech 5 proposal to boost this. We have about 20 bases who have expressed interest in being participants in this prototype. So feature and base expansion is going to come from the Tech 5 proposal. And we are also working on a similar recruiting station and data collection process on behalf of AFRS, Air Force Recruiting Services. And so just on time, I'm opening up for discussion. I guess this is going to mostly be asynchronous. So I guess that's a wrap. And I appreciate once again the opportunity to be here and everyone's time and attention, and look forward to discussing this with you on the sidebar.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to open it up to any questions from the panel.
Awesome presentation, Dave, and thanks for sharing. I'm curious, kind of what are your differentiators against your competitors in this space? There's quite a few kind of visitor check-in systems, and what is your guys' moat here?
Visitor check-in systems, kind of, if you look at the more commercial landscape. So if you think about the general commercial landscape, I would argue that there's two types of competitors. There's some of the bigger names like Envoy. They basically focus on every single in-office experience. So they're trying to digitize every single step in the office, and they're really not focused. They're not solely focused on visitor management. And then there's some simple visitor management systems that don't really think of through, that aren't really focused on the entire experience for the visitor and thinking of this as a security entity. So Greetly is looking at visitor management as that gap. You have enterprise organizations in the federal government spending untold billions of dollars on cybersecurity, on physical security. And they have this gap as to knowing exactly who is on their space, whether they're in the office where maybe they should have access escorted or unescorted, but maybe by accident they're on the flight line or in a warehouse or in a dangerous production line that they shouldn't be. So Greetly is versus anyone that we know in the marketplace, we're focused on visitor management as an element of physical security, data security, personnel security. Great question.
Hey, Dave. Great presentation, and thanks for putting the video up as well. How much customization do you need for each different customer or different base, or is it the same product deployed everywhere?
That's a good question. So if you do look at our commercial product that Courtney was referencing, our commercial product has always been built on customization out of the box. So we build as many use cases from a branding, from a workflow standpoint, from what actions happen before, during, and after the check-in process. And that's what we're doing right now from a base standpoint. So Chris, again, our COO who's on here, he's had probably 80 user interviews ranging mostly from security forces squadrons, but also SuperPass initiators, visitors, entry point, visitor control center. And we are building this to a large degree to custom spec for Eglin Air Force Base. But our platform is building it in a manner that we're trying to understand the customizations that might be required for Lackland and Edwards and an Army base and a Navy base and NIH headquarters. And so our system is built for customization in mind. It's all API driven. And so we will probably get, better than the Pareto principle, 90 to 95% of it that'll be customizable and options straight out of the box. Thank you for that question, Jimmy.
The panelists want to ask one last question.
So
make it a hard one.
All right, I'll give you a hard one. So my question is you showed in the video that you're monitoring where the visitors are while they're on the campus or on the base. What happens when there becomes a security breach of some kind of situation, where somebody's going where they're not supposed to? Are you integrating with like a mass notification, or do you have mass notification? How does that work?
Man, I appreciate that question. That was a hard one, Reese, but really, in a lot of ways, gets to the real essence here. So, going back to Courtney's question as well. So, there's a lot of people who can do commercial workplace simple check-in. But Greetly's real mission is that we put a pretty face on initiating data. So, you want to come on an Air Force base, you're giving up some rights, at least for the period of time while you're there. I think everyone on this webinar acknowledges that. Greetly has the ability to capture your opt-in to whatever it requires while you're on base. And yes, we are building reporting that will send notifications where we're speaking with the various TACs, tactical and common operating systems that are being used on Air Force bases. These notifications when something is awry, when someone who is only supposed to go to the commissary is suddenly on the flight line, or someone has been there for a period of time that's significantly longer than their past allows them access for, there will be various notifications that can go to security forces squadrons. It can go to the closest patrolman. It can be viewed through ATAC or otherwise. So that is in a lot of ways core to Greetly's commercial application, is a pretty face to gather information about what is supposed to be happening in this workplace and sending notifications to the right people when something is not as it should be. And there's the security risk associated with that. So I'm so glad you asked that, Reese. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of your showcase, everyone. I can't wait to see what these other companies are going to tell us about.
Thank you, Dave from Greetly. That was excellent. Great questions from the panel as well. And next up is Exosonic.